Okay, guys, let's start with the guide which I have prepared. This one is about all the stuff which you can prepare once you're close to max item level, and yeah, which you can still do for the incoming update, which should be at the 22nd of January. And as you know, we will get the 2.5 gear, GVG, weekly rate, and card games. All those guys were complaining about the bugged Python quest. You should be happy because that should work after we have the card games. Anyways, I'm gonna go through the stuff which you can do daily, or should keep doing on daily base to prepare for the incoming update, especially for the weekly rates and the 2.5 gear. You should know, like, if someone played the Korean version, we have currently the issue, like the Korean version introduced updates too fast, a little bit too fast. And the Russian version is introducing, or they are releasing updates a little bit too slow. So we have a lot of time in between the content updates. This is actually an opportunity. Usually when I played the Korean version, I struggled to do stuff in between content updates. I didn't have enough time. So you can use it as an opportunity to do the following stuff to prepare for the next update. First, it is because of the weekly rate, you should collect runes. I will explain first which items you should focus on, and then later I will explain the methods which you need to do, or like contents you need to do to get those items. So first we have the runes, as I mentioned. You will need it for weekly rates, and you have to swap multiple times the runes during the week. You can only do one weekly rate, or like each of those weekly rate once per week. So after clearing one specific weekly rate to do the next one, you have to change your runes. Next, we have the PvP tokens. If they didn't change how it used to be, or like how it was in Korea, then you will still need PvP tokens to upgrade your 2.5 PvP gear. So for those guys who are thinking about going for the PvP gear, go and farm, do PvP and farm the PvP tokens. Next we have the Acrasium 2. Most of you guys are going to be surprised now. Why the fuck should I farm Acrasium 2 if I'm already max item level? Again, Acrasium 2, if it's similar to Korea, you're going to need it for the PvP 2.5 gear. But keep in mind, there will be a major change between a 2.5 PvP gear and the current PvP gear which we have. You know, like the current PvP gear, the only thing which gated you was the Acrasium. And the tokens, you could just farm it and have enough tokens stacked, and you just needed the Acrasium to polish it. This won't be the same for the 2.5 PvP gear, because the other material, apart from Acrasium, the second material which you need to upgrade your PvP gear, which again, if they didn't change it once again, exchange for the PvP tokens. That material is gated weekly, so you can only obtain X amount of those by exchanging tokens per week. So it is like, speed-wise, it should be pretty similar to the weekly rate gear. Next, we have the catalysts. The catalysts, if you guys didn't know, are those things. Those are needed to reroll rune slots or unlock rune slots. This will be a pain, and that's also one of the reasons why you need to stack shilling. Shilling and catalyst together are needed to min-max your weekly rate gear or your PvP gear, and you have to reroll a lot until you get the perfect slots. Once again, which rune slots are needed, I explained it already in my weekly rate guide, weekly rate min-maxing guide. But once we have the gear in Russia, I'm gonna update it, so keep an eye on the channel. Pushing forward, we have next the charisma stats. If you guys didn't know, the nature or charisma stats, all those things, use the time you have. Like, you should be not under pressure now, like once you reach max item level. Use the time to get those things a little bit higher. We won't get raw handle yet, but once we get raw handle, there will be a lot of content locked behind, or like a lot of quests, important quests locked behind those charisma points. So you use the time to do affinity related stuff, which gonna reward you with potions, and then also don't forget to do the Epona quests, which will also reward you at the end with stat increase potions or the charisma stat increasing potions. That's why I keep doing all the Eponas, which I still need to do to claim the last rewards. As you can see, I'm done with all the Eponas except for 2. I'm nearly there, so that's one of those things you should keep doing, especially for those charisma potions and max stat increase potions. And a nice reward which you can also get by doing that is Acrasium 1 and Acrasium 2. You need the Acrasium 2 more than the Acrasium 1, obviously. And last but not least, you need, or you should farm all the tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, tier 4 guardians. Each of those tiers, if you have time, pick one of those guardians every day, do it 3 times, and the next tier do it 3 times, and so on. Here, this graph or this screenshot is from the unnerved materials which you need to upgrade your weekly raid gear. So just to clear the things again, PvP gear needs PvP token related material, which is weekly gated, and Acrasium 2 if they didn't change it. Weekly raid gear doesn't need Acrasium 2, but it needs this one here, which can be only obtained by clearing weekly raids and is also gated. And then of course the materials from previous Guardian raids to upgrade it. So what you can do now is collect those materials and for example, do the first Guardian tier 1 3 times every day until you have 7 of this one, 35 of this, and 45 of that. And once you have that, you can move on to the next Guardian until you have all those stuff gathered. If you have those numbers gathered, you're Gucci. So you shouldn't struggle to get those materials once we have the weekly raids. Of course, you can also do it later once the weekly raid content is released, but you can use the time which you have now to collect it already. Okay, I can show it to you. I have it also prepared here. I started doing that already quite since the start of this game. I didn't throw away anything. I didn't exchange those for the runes. That's why I never recommend you guys to exchange those materials for runes or rune boxes, which you can do. So I collected those. I just need from a few guardians the materials, then I'm Gucci. Okay, daily activities, to sum it up, which you should keep doing after reaching max item level. Daily and weekly Eponas, just because of the charisma points and Acrasium 2. Affinity, increasing affinity with NPCs to get the charisma points unlocked and some other goodies. And of course, if you watched the recent Season 2 Korea reveal video, there was a teaser about the island, personal island. It's kind of like a housing system, and to that island you can invite every NPC which you have maxed out. So if you're one of those guys who want to get all the NPCs on your island, you should start maxing those NPCs out now. You have plenty of time. Then we have the sea activities. You can do whatever sea activity you want. All of those gonna reward you if you're lucky with some random catalyst drops. Explained it already earlier why you need that. And of course you can get switching through all the windows, you can get those 2 items by doing any sea activities which consumes luck. This one and this one, you can go to Island Hut Opera, who is located here, and there's a turtle, and you can exchange those materials for rune boxes. Don't do it yet. Get as much from those materials as possible to exchange it later. Once again, you will swap around your runes plenty of time during the weekly raids. And it happened to me in Korea and to a lot of guys too, that you ran out of runes and you have to farm runes before the weekly raid reset it, so that you can finish the weekly raid. So to prevent that, farm those materials. And then we have the Chaos Event Dungeon, Sure, you need to do that, of course, because of the Agrasium 2, especially if you want to go for the PvP gear. And land and sea maps, Agrasium 2, if you want to go for the PvP gear. So if you're one of those guys who are like, fuck PvP, fuck GVG, I just want to go for PvE content, you have a lot less stuff to do, or a lot less stuff to prepare, because you can neglect all the stuff which can give you Agrasium 2 only. Okay, we are at the end. And I want to give you a sneak peek. Like, I'm pretty sure most of you guys didn't know about that. You can't most likely mix gear. If you think about, like, if you wanted to mix PvP, PvE, and raid gear, weekly raid gear, wouldn't recommend that. If it's similar to Korea, you won't only have the 5-set effect, you will have more effects. You will have polish effects. So what it means is, you will get the 5-set effects if you have the full set, and then you will have 3 polish effects, 5 polish effects, and so on. The numbers are just random. I think it starts with 5, and then 10, and then 15, or something like that. Which means, if you have the same set, and if you add together all the polished and upgrades together, and it gets to the threshold 5, let's say you have upgraded all your armor parts once, then you have +5 polish on that set, then you will unlock additional set effect. So, and the 5 multiplied by 6, I think the weapon counts too. Like, if you polish everything, you will unlock an insane set effect. So that's why it's recommended to go for full PvP 2.5 gear, or full polished weekly raid gear. You can actually do both at the same time if you want to focus on raid and on GVGs, because, as I mentioned earlier, both gear parts requires 2 different upgrade materials, so you can upgrade both of them simultaneously, and it's not like previously where all of those stuff share the Agrasium 2 as an upgrade material. Okay, it was a pretty long guide, so I hope it wasn't confusing. If you have enough any questions, feel free to ask now in the Twitch chat, or later once I upload it and highlight it in the YouTube, also in the YouTube comment section. Thanks, guys.